you just listen to a young girl who was saying that the Nigerian community here is totally very angry. Thank you very much for
This was the Ijaw country of the Niger Delta of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He went to several schools. His major academic emphasis was at the government college in Delhi.
Go gather, destroy their food. With the camp and that other camp, second camp, you don't compensate everybody. But some of them
generation sometimes. Today I spoke with his the style of J.C. Clark, a poet and writer, and we shall also be very interested in his point as more dancer.
Lives are meaningful. Some are empty. Lives that are with too much meaning and riches to offer humankind. After some of these earthly adventures and more, one can still find footprints of these dead lives on the pavements of our contemporary lives.
Good evening, you're welcome to the program Green Planet. Coastal pollution is very dangerous. It affects marine biodiversity and the livelihoods that depend on aquatic or marine species. African Center for Community and Development caught up with stakeholders involved with marine-related livelihoods to find out the impact of coastal pollution in the Atlantic coastline in Limbe, Cameroon. Good day. Thank you very much for talking to people, places and events, and to the African Center for Community and Development. I see that you are doing a great job here to take out waste from the coastline in Limbe. How's the work going? Okay, but is there much waste in the coast?
There is much. Because of this sea that you have here, they come all over the place.
But where is this waste coming from? This waste that I'm filming like this, where is it coming from?
This with that this boat fishing.
Okay.
Do it like this, we go and put it in just can they not do it well with that cover it like this. And from this that we are carrying, it comes to many sites.
Including even Nigeria or Equatorial Guinea?
Anyhow, mostly where the you know, so we have three kinds of water. Small water and middle water and the biggest water. Now we are having the biggest one. The biggest one being this day.
Okay.
On the beach here. The smaller one, not people bring the type of them. Where the smaller one come, you know if you see this around here. You see all the place very clean. Then where the bigger one comes, this one will make the water rough. You take all this one who is already put down.
So does it affect fish? Do you think it reduces the amount of fish that people catch?
I'm not sure. Since my grandfather or my father was fishing inside, he don't tell me that this one like this like this, two fish.
But what about people who live around here? It has no effect on them. Why are you cleaning it if it has no impact?
You know, now we are in modern time, so we're supposed to clean. We don't need to get all around the place where people are eating. Like this place is a touristic area. People are eating. Come here and sit and take fresh air. So we don't have to do it like this.
Okay.
The time of now, too much sickness around.
Okay.
We have to remove this or reduce any sickness that is coming ahead.
Okay. Good day. Thank you very much for talking to people, places and events, and to the African Center for Community and Development. What is your name, sir?
I'm Asar Zeppo. I'm the director, as you said.
Hey, we are here in the Atlantic coastline of Cameroon, and we are also witnessing something that is very pertinent. We have plastic bottles or waste that's being deposited along the shoreline. What do you think can be done to better manage the waste that's being dumped into the ocean and
think this is a very crucial thing because given the properties of plastics to be able to degrade, they should first thing we're supposed to do is to put in place a collection system of plastic waste bottles that rewards whoever contributes to a collection of waste. Because today we have all sorts of soda drinks coming up at very affordable prices to all. Everybody wants to buy one a day, and that is a lot of waste being created. What do you put in place? How do you encourage people to collect this waste and for it to be treated properly? I think there should be a reward system for whoever collects these empty plastic bottles and brings it to like the waste treatment center. Because if there's no reward, nobody's going to take the time to collect this waste. And when I talk about rewards, I'm talking about putting in place some kind of financial style for everybody who collects the waste and takes it to a particular collection center.
Good day. Thank you very much for talking to the African Center for Community and Development and to people, places and events. What is your name, sir?
Good day. I'm Chief Chumlong Dufo.
And we are witnessing the dumping of plastics into the Atlantic Ocean, which is the main source of livelihoods to communities around the Limbe area, or the west coast, or the east coast of Limbe. What is your impression about this?
I would first of all like to talk about a beautiful town like Limbe, who used to be Victoria in yesteryears. We were not used to things like this because they were not existing in our community. But coming into the limelight of soft drinks being transported now in plastic bottles, I think we have to place some kind of mechanism at the level of the council for a proper management of these bottles littering all over our beaches and our shoreline. The council brought in Izakam. I think they were doing a good job for the first 1 year. You could not see plastics littering along the coastline. I don't know, they are not doing their job again, or the bulk of the job is more than them to do it. They should look for other companies to assist them.
But don't you think it's also an issue of sensitization? Why should people dump their plastics into the ocean if they know it's going to degrade the capacity of the ocean to produce fish?
They are not well informed. If they are informed, I don't think they are going to dispose of these bottles in the manner which we are seeing today. If they are well informed in respect to radios, campaigns, at the level of the television, at the level of all the media, I think a proper structure is being placed at various homes and quarters, where you know you have to fit in a particular plastic in a particular bottle, in a particular container, and likewise other junks from the house. I think proper management will be done in respect to that.
Good day. Thank you very much for talking to the African Center for Community and Development and to people, places and events. What is your name, sir?
My name is Luma, Mr. Luma.
And what do you do around the coastline here?
I'm worker with the National Party.
Okay. Can you tell us a bit about the waste that we find in the coastline? What is bringing this waste here?
More especially the waste that you find around the coastline, they are being brought from the rivers that flows into the sea. For example, people, when they consume their drinks and consume their debts, they go to the rivers and throw it into the river. And the rivers carry those wastes now and bring it to the sea. That's why you find so much waste around the coastline.
Now, does this waste affect fish?
Yes, of course. Like when there's, like these plastics, they have some toxic waste that scare fish away from coming and come up how they put their eggs around.
Okay. So therefore means it affects the number of fish that we can have around here.
Automatically, it affects the number of fish.
Now, working with the Marine Marchand, what kind of job do you do sometimes?
We are, Marine Marchand is the service under the Ministry of Transport. It's in charge of maritime affairs. In charge of security at sea, registration of canoes, registration of boats, fights against piracy, fights against contraband, control of ships, foreign vessels, and so on and so forth.
So do you people check on the quality of the canoe to see whether it is good to go to the sea as well?
Yes, of course. That is what we talk about security at sea, lives of human at sea. If a canoe is no more for navigation or for seaworthiness, it is no more good to go to the sea. So we are very, very strict on that, so that people will be safe at sea.
Sometimes they used to talk about twin trawling along the coast. Is this still taking place, twin trawling?
No, since for some couple of years now, we don't know anything about twin trawling because it has been stopped.
Okay.
Those twin trawling were being done by those Chinese people, but now it is stopped.
Now, can you greet your people in your dialect and also to tell them about the wonderful job you are doing here along the coastline of Limbe?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm so glad to be in this documentary. I'm a man from Butaland. I'm a man from Butaland. Remember, I speak my people, my dialect. I come in your Aseba.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means I greet all my village people.
Thank you very much for talking to the African Center for Community and Development.
Okay, thank you.
Now, this is also an estuary, as we can see from guys who are doing fishing. And this is a spawning ground for fish. So do you think plastics destroy the habitat for fisheries, like in Cameroon?
Definitely. That has been proven. I think if you go visit, I visited one center recently, and there was this bird that had died, and we saw the bulk of plastic that came from the stomach. I think that is evident of the fact that these plastics are affecting also life in the sea. This is a spawning ground, and a lot of these species come over here to spawn so that they can have young offspring. And all these plastics deposited here, it kills the children, the young ones, but it also kills any of the parents that try to eat it. So I think it's affecting the population of these species, and we should really put in place to collect it and avoid this kind of situation that we have here.
So what are your last words in people, places, and events, and what can be done holistically to improve on the situation?
I think holistically, we should encourage people to look more at the bigger picture. Let everybody see what is done to gain in preserving our environment, in conservation, because people will tend to conserve more if they see their personal interest in it.
Thank you very much for talking to people, places, and events, and the African Center for Community and Development.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is mine.
And also, if the government can encourage recycling of this particular waste, we call it waste because we don't have any proper use of it now. But if it is picked up and handed over to companies who transform this as a raw material for the production of plastics, like synthetic plastics, like my shoe, you can see, this is kind of waste made from that. I think it's going to bring in more money into the economy.
Thank you very much for watching People, Places and Events. And the African Center for Community and Development, we've been talking about the use of plastics and the dumping of plastics in the coastline of the Atlantic Ocean in Cameroon. And we are saying that there is a possibility of recycling the plastic or of sensitizing the population to know that dumping plastics affects the spawning grounds for fish and destroys fishing livelihoods that are related to the lives of fish in the Atlantic coastline. That can impact on the economy of sub-Saharan Africa as a whole, or Africa as a continent. Thank you very much for watching People, Places and Events. That's Gary.
Thank you very much. And you just listen to a young girl who was saying that the Nigerian community here is totally very angry. Thank you very much for listening to our journalist was the Niger Delta of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
government call it Ujeli.
Go gather, destroy their food. Make security camp and that other camp, second camp. You don't compensate everybody. But some of them
in each generation sometimes. Today our filmmaker will be in the style of J.P. Clark, a poet and writer, and we shall also be very interested in his point at more dancing.
Some lives are meaningful, some are empty. Lives that are meaningful, with too much meaning and riches to offer humankind. After some of these earthly adventures and more, one can still find footprints of these great lives on the pavements of our contemporary lives.
Good evening, you're welcome to the program Green Planet.